This is Steve Zeltzer with Workweek. And today we're talking with trade unionist, the Secretary George Martin of the Harassing Mine Workers Union Namibia branch at the Harassing mine. And he and his fellow workers have been in a long struggle for justice. They were removed by the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation company, which bought the mine. And they've been fighting for the return to work and also fighting for other workers around the country in Namibia who face attacks. So welcome to Workweek, George.
Thank you, Comrade Steve.
So why don't you update us, first of all, George? You've been involved in trying to get a hearing. It's been years now since you were fired illegally by the company, and you're struggling to survive and to defend yourself and your families. What is going on?
First of all, Steve, on the 29th of September, it was our 2-year anniversary that we were unlawfully dismissed from CNNC Harassing. Since then, we've been having our arbitration hearings. We are still fighting for our case in the arbitration hearings at the Labor Commissioner's office. So we had our arbitration hearing, speaking under correction, on the 7th of September, 2022, this year, where we were busy cross-examining the company witnesses. The company brought about 7 or 8 witnesses up to now. So our case was booked for a whole week, the hearing. We only cross-examined the company witnesses, of which we were told that there are still witnesses from the company side that needs to be cross-examined. On the other hand, as you can see, Steve, we've been without work for the last 2 years. It's been hard because we've been applying for jobs and we've been unlucky in getting jobs. We don't know why. We just haven't been getting responses back from employers or when we apply for jobs. So it's been tough. Currently, we have a workers' advice center here in Swakop where we try and help workers that face the same challenges as we are going through. We are getting there. We're helping, especially these domestic workers that are coming, and hotel workers, help them fight their case. That is what we are currently doing, Comrade Steve.
And Namibian labor law is a very good law if it's enforced. They fired you and the other leaders of the branch. Was that under Namibian labor law was improper? But it seems like they've been able to get away with it so far. What's happened with the Namibian labor laws and it seems like the flagrant violations of enforcement of the law?
Yeah, no, the law is quite good, Comrade Steve. We have a Labor Act, or Labor Act 11 of 2007, which clearly says that if an employer unfairly dismissed an employee, the onus lies upon the employer to prove that they dismissed the employees or the employee fairly. So it's currently at the Labor Commissioner's office. The case is still ongoing, and the company has to prove that they dismissed us fairly, of which they still did not prove. They are still just running along with time. They are just buying time so that they can financially drain us, eventually banging on that we give up on the case. That is what they are doing now. And that is what most of the employers do. When they unfairly dismiss employees, they know that the employee has to file a case with the Labor Commissioner's office. And then the cases can drag up to 2 or 3 years like ours now. And then eventually employees give up because you don't have means of taking care of yourselves. And you cannot fight the case because companies are using lawyers at this process, and employees don't have money to pay for legal fees and those things. And then later on, you tend to give up because these legal fees are high.
And the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, which bought the mine in 2019, is a state organization, state government Chinese organization. What you're saying is that they're spending a lot of money on lawyers to prevent the union leadership from returning back to that mine. Is that the case?
Yes, that's the case. Currently, as we are speaking now, I think they are being represented by an advocate at the Labor Commissioner's office, of which it's huge legal fees that they have to pay. Yes, that's the case, Comrade Steve.
And the entry of China to Namibia, they have bought other mines, and they've also marble mines. How are they as an employer, both public and private Chinese companies?
Comrade Steve, this is the first Chinese-owned company that I've worked for, but hearing from other mine workers and other comrades that have worked for Chinese employers, it's the same thing, Comrade Steve. They like our comrades from Best Chair, they were also dismissed. They are also currently fighting their labor case through the arbitration hearings, of which I think their case is placed. Their case should be it's booked for next week, I think, speaking under correction. And these comrades were dismissed after they had a lawful strike. They went through a legal, they went through the legal process to obtain the strike. They striked for about 3 months, and then after the strike, they were dismissed, Comrade Steve. And that is the operatum the modus operatum that these companies come and do. They see that the union or the strong union leaders are there. They get rid of these union leaders, and then they continue. And those are the things those are the complaints that we get from these companies, Comrade Steve.
And what are the conditions now of the workers at the Rehire mine? Are they intimidated now, afraid to fight for their rights, or health and safety conditions and healthcare benefits? I know in negotiations that your union had, they want to cut back on their healthcare benefits. Did they implement a cutback on the healthcare benefits for the workers at the mine?
For now, I think they are still operating as we were, but there are some minor changes that came. And when you speak to the employees, they are also scared to speak to you because they don't know what their fate are. Because if they speak to you, people can relate back to say, oh, these guys were speaking to their previous leaders, and they can be victimized. So people are very scared.
And there was an election for a new president, new chair of the local, and he was also discharged. Why don't you talk about his case?
Yeah, Comrade Batista. Yeah, he was shortly after we were dismissed. He took up office, and he became the chairperson, the new chairperson at the mine for the mine workers union. And then I think what he did, he wrote a letter to the company trying to give a petition on our dismissals. The HR manager responded to say the planned petition should be stopped, and they are not going to receive, or there will be no manager or senior personnel receiving the petition, and anyone that partakes in the petition will be dealt with in their personal capacity. That was the response that they got. And then shortly after that, the management or the HR manager dismissed this individual, and he was not given the proper hearing to be dismissed, and he was dismissed for a matter that happened at the previous company. So up to this date, our comrade was just dismissed with a letter.
This seems like a systemic union busting by the company, that they have a policy of breaking any unions. Is this a threat to the working class and the labor movement in Namibia? It seems like this is systemic union busting. In other words, it seems like it's not just an isolated case, that they want to get rid of any independent unions, militant unions, or unions independent of the company. Is that the case in Namibia now?
Yeah, these cases, Comrade Steve, you can closely look at what is happening around the country, and you can add one and one together, and you'll get the two answer, which is the capitalists are trying to systematically take away the power from the union, which is that unions are there to fight for the workers, and you can see that they want to take away that power from the union. And just to add with that, there is a change in the Labor Act. There's a new amended act of which I haven't read yet, but it looks to me that the changes will be drafted in this new act, and you will see that power from the union will be removed.
Of course, the unions in Namibia are coming on to the uprising 1973, when there was a mass uprising against apartheid. The struggle that the labor movement, the working class in Namibia and in South Africa had, was against contract labor under the apartheid regime. How was the struggle connected to that struggle in 73 and this fight against contract labor?
Comrade Steve, what I think is employers want to go back to that system where contract labor is a thing. And you can see that they want to bring back the contract labor system so that the employers can maximize on their profits. And what we have to do this side as a working class, we have to fight together and stand together and stand against these contract systems, because it's not benefiting the working class. It's just taking the working class back into the 70s, of which these systems were fought against and won against. So what Comrade Hewat, them and us this side are doing is we are trying to at least educate workers on their rights and what they have to fight for.
The issue of corruption of the government, there was the case of the fishermen, where the government officials, the Minister of Fisheries and the Minister of Justice were bribed, and they gave out licenses to another fishing company that took away the jobs of the fishermen of Namibia. It seems like the corruption and the takeover of the government, the capture of the government by the companies, by the capitalists, means now that the working class in Namibia, all the gains that they've had are being undermined. Is that the case?
Comrade Steve, I would really not have so much accurate information. The information on those things about the fish rod would just be information that I heard from or that I watched on TV. But I think when you look at that case, the corruption that was there, it's bad, Comrade Steve, and it really affected a lot of workers, or a lot of working class in the fishing industry. We talk about close to 10,000 or 15,000 people that were without jobs. Currently, as we are speaking now, we have a lot of fishermen that are coming every day at the soccer field and meeting just to get jobs, and they are being to go and work contract jobs. So it's really bad, Comrade Steve.
And the economic situation. I mean, Namibia, like Southern Africa, is a very rich country, minerals, resources, and yet the poverty in the country is growing. Why don't you talk about the economic conditions of the Namibian working class and people at this point?
Right, Steve, the thing is, the unemployment it's tough. We are coming out of a problematic season, or 2 years that we were having this coronavirus, and most of the people also lost their jobs through that. It's really tough. And if you can look at the amount of people that have lost their jobs just in the past 2 years, there are a lot. I also wanted to touch on our story to say that it's kind of understandable now how people that are having jobs and people that have lost their jobs are getting by, because it's tough. It's really tough, Comrade Steve. Inflation is hitting us with everything. The food prices are going up. The oil prices are going up. So everything is just going up. And then you have this salary that is just not growing, and people are complaining. Even the ones that have jobs are complaining to say they cannot afford. So it's really tough.
And there is no workers' party, not only in Namibia, no mass workers' party in South Africa. So politically, what choice does the working class have politically in Namibia?
The political choice that the working class have is to form a party that can stand up for the workers, and that is formed by the workers and that speaks the language of the workers. Because all these other parties are just looking out for their own interest. We need a party that can genuinely stand for the workers and speak to the language or to the commands that the workers have, and that can only take care of the workers' rights and the workers' freedoms, and that understands what the workers' fights are. Because now you have a party that is there, but they have different things that they are fighting for, and that will not work. You need someone that understands worker struggles and that needs to fight for workers.
And there's also an issue of housing. Housing 3,500 families and people are threatened with being removed from their housing. It seems like just the fight for housing is becoming a major issue in Namibia.
The fight for housing is a problem, Steve. We have people that don't have decent houses or different that are just kicked to the streets, like the Ndobo hostel, people that have been living in those hostels for many years, just to hear that they are kicked to the streets and they don't know where to go. Imagine staying at a place for more than 10 years and then someone decides in one day that you have to get to evacuate the premises. Where do you start? Where do you go? That place where you were staying, you called it home. Now all of a sudden you have to go to the streets. Those are the things, the realities that people are faced with in this country.
And you had an international campaign to build support for your struggle. You have the Workers' Advice Center. Some unions have supported you. Why don't you talk about the international support that you've been getting?
Yeah, we had a meeting with Unite, the union that was represented by Comrade Brownwan. It's a union in Britain. They've been supporting us hugely, Comrade Steve. They've been donating some funds for us to pay for the office that we have in Swakop that keeps us running. We we at least have a printer, a computer that we can use, and then cabinets to file our documents when we represent people. So those are one of the unions. We have a union that is also from Britain. I think Comrade Bob and Comrade Nick are part of that union. I just don't know what the name is. They have been supporting Comrade Steve. We also have you, Comrade Steve, that have been supporting us, and we are grateful for the support and solidarity that we've been getting from our comrades.
We have an international campaign going to support you. It's important that workers around the world support your struggle for justice, for human rights, for worker rights, critical for working people in Namibia and building internationalism. How do you see the fight for your struggle connected to workers around the world? Workers are struggling throughout the world now, and there's a growing struggle against the inflation, to defend against inflation, against union busting that's going on globally.
I see it's the same struggle, Comrade Steve. We have the capitalists that are here to destroy or to exploit the working class. They want our labor, but they don't want to pay for the labor. They want to get it for free. That is the main thing. They want workers to give away all their rights. They want to take all the rights of the workers just so that they can maximize on their profits. And what I can encourage workers around the world is to never give up and not to isolate their fights. It's better to fight together than fighting alone, because if you fight your fight alone, you give power to the employer and to the capitalists, because they are much bigger and they have the money. The only thing that is very strong that we have as a working class is the language of working together. And if we work in numbers, we can always defeat them, Comrade Steve.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us on Work Week. We've been talking with George Martin. He's secretary of the Rehire branch, which is a uranium mine which has been purchased by the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation. They were illegally discharged more than 2 years ago. They're fighting in court case to get their jobs back. And he's been talking with us not only about his struggle and his comrades, but also other working people in Namibia, their fight for justice, a fight against union busting. So thanks for joining us, and solidarity.
Solidarity, comrades.